Welcome to Rex Arthur TV, Rex Arthur Show. And this is the LGBTQ channel that discusses world issues with an LGBTQ lens or LGBTQI. And this is to put the record straight. We have removed or we have moved River of Thought Lava Fikir channel and brought it here onto Rex Arthur because of we found it too cumbersome to do videos on two channels, and so we thought we should have one channel that carries all of our discussions, be it philosophical, because River of Thought and Love of Fakir was basically philosophy, and we didn't want to mix it up with the LGBTQ channel. But come to think about it, the LGBTQ people also philosophize. So there's no need of separating and saying, you know what, an LGBTQ person, uh, when it's an LGBTQ channel, there is no philosophy channel. So I think what has happened, Rex Arthur has become like a TV station. So being a TV station, it is easier to inculcate and include any presentation, even be it political, be it social, be it economic, we can include it in the Rex Arthur channel, the Rex Arthur station. Just like when you look at CNN, CNN has Money Matters, and then it has health, vital health, science, and then it has world news, and then it has local news, and all of these things. So CNN America, then CNN Asia, CNN like that. So basically, it is all happening in one channel called CNN, one network called CNN. So this network of Rex Arthur, it was advisable to have Lava Fikir and River of Thought combined in this channel rather than have it in a different setup. Because if it's there's no point of having a program outside when you have when the main driver of the channel has his own channel going on. So this is gonna be where we do our philosophy videos. It will have its playlist. So I had to remove that topic of interest for now. There are certain topics that are interesting me. There is demography and there is genetics. Those are the two. And I will also discuss genetics. I always discuss what I read. And what I'm reading about genetics is very interesting. And it is a very interesting topic I'm learning from genetics. So I will be posting videos on genetics and everything else that I read. But I'm also reading demographics, but not reading it in the sense, there are two types of readings. There's the verbal reading when you read words, and there's the observant reading when you're studying the world. And by the way, just in case you didn't know, we have also created a new radio channel for Queer In. And Queer In Theology is theology is found on Twitter and on SoundCloud. So you can also go onto Twitter and follow us on Queer in Theology, and that is QUEER QUEER Queerin theology, and basically it is just LGBTQ theology, perspective of LGBTQ. Cumbersome, you always hear you run there, when you can be in one place. So we decided to also put that one aside and put it on radio, on LGBTQ theology video, and put them in the playlist of gospel inclusion. So back to the topic. So I was discussing demography with people. I saw a photo of some lady, a white lady, who posted, something to do with white extinction, and she was worried, and she posted a map whereby was showing half of America had white people at one time. Then all of a sudden, it puts black dots or dark black icons of people on the map, and then she also puts black dots of people on the other map in Europe. And so she was saying that the extinction is happening, and of course she got likes, and I was really wondering, wow, I think this could be something that is affecting the white race much as the black race is also affected by other things and the other races. So I got to realize that it reminded me of my one of my philosophical principles that guides my life forever, and that is diversity is the key principle. Diversity is the principle. We are diverse, so you have to understand that. So even in demographics, there is diversity. In every science, there is diversity. Now, what is the net effect of diversity? And we're even going to do an LGBTQ video that is based on that, because there is diversity, then there is unity in diversity. Unity in diversity, and or universality in diversity. Now, there's some people who want to live in diversity and stay there, and others want to go higher to the unity in diversity or diversity in universality. And this is what you're seeing with Trump's administration. They have recently said they don't want to help LGBTQ persons in African countries because they feel it is not they are not their countries, so they don't want to impose like protections of human rights of LGBT persons in African countries or homophobic countries, because they don't rule those countries. And so whereas they have LGBTQ right freedoms for America, American LGBT persons, give a damn about the people in other countries, and which is sad because the Obama administration was very universal, and because they understood that LGBTQ persons exist in African countries, they exist in Asian countries, they exist everywhere. So Obama did very well to he's a, Obama is basically a universalist. He's basically a universalist. Trump is anti-universalist. He's a nationalist. He's a man who is only focused. He does everything for America. He's thoroughly not involved. He doesn't even care about other countries in the world, and as long as they don't affect him. If they affect him, like what's happening with Europe, Europe affects American economy. So he gets involved. And he gets involved until he gets his way. And when he gets his way done, that's it. He won't care what happens in Europe. And secondly, Um, Trump, if you want to know Trump, it is 2 years in his presidency. He hasn't traveled. If you look at his international travel list, it is so dry. He hasn't been visiting many countries. Why? He's a nationalist. He's more nationalistic. Obama was a universal man. He had an international appeal, and he really wanted to see American values, or the values he espoused, not necessarily American values, but his values of human rights, to be espoused, to be carried forward all over the world. That's why, in my view, Obama would make a very good Secretary General. The only problem is the UN Secretary General is not that powerful in implementing uh, things, and Obama is an implementer. Ban Ki-moon fits that job, and even Guterres. They are not forceful people. Actually, I find it, when you're a president, it's a bit, in my view, you won't really enjoy the job of Secretary General of the UN, because that is a post for somebody who is mostly a mediator. He is not necessarily an enforcer, like a president is an enforcer. But when Obama was in power, he could enforce um, universal principles of human rights. But now Trump also, and he can enforce whatever he wants to enforce. And so that's what has happened. So he has become very nationalistic. What do you do when America leaves you alone? Well, we'll discuss in the video. This video is about demographics. I was now discussing the diversity aspect, that there is diversity, and then there's diversity in unity. Diversity in unity means, when you know people are diverse, you accept that, and then you tolerate and learn to live with one another. Because what happens in the world is diversity in disunity. The white people will fight black people because they are different from them. Black people will fight white people because they're different from them. Asians will fight black people because they're different from them. So that's what's happening. There are two routes. Either we take the route of diversity in disunity, or we take the route of diversity in unity. And or even our famous topic, this guy is gay and that other guy is straight. So they fight each other because they are sexually different. So instead of, that guy is gay and that guy is straight, but you say, you know what, we're going to live together. We're going to live together. I know you're different. You have the way you love your things, you do them differently. So that is what you call diversity in unity. And it should be encouraged all over the world. And so, as I've said, the diversity in demography means the white people, okay, they are a section of white people who are afraid. They are afraid. They're looking at the numbers because of course, it's population numbers. They have realized, these days we don't just count people like, how many people are in the room. You just count and then you finish. No, demographics has gone deeper and deeper. So you are even counting how many men are in the room, how many women are in the room, how many men say they are gay, how many men say they are straight, how many women say they are gay, how many women say they are straight. How many of these people have a belong to this genetic group? How many of these women belong to this mitochondrial group? How many of so demographics is going deeper and deeper. It's getting detailed and detailed, and the more detailed it is, the more we are finding out we're getting detailed data. The race, because when you come to race is a very dicey thing to. I would say it's skin color. You see, skin color. So they are maybe saying, when you look at it racially, the Asian race, which is in the middle of white and yellow, they are already 1 billion. And Africa is already 1 billion, past 1 billion. It is only the white race that is at around 800,000. And they haven't reached a billion. And they are not reaching a billion. That is their concern. And these others are going on higher and higher, especially Africa is going higher. So these ones are not hitting a billion, they're becoming few. So, in their view, and demographics is not a short term study, it's for long term. So, by 2100, they are seeing there will be fewer whites in the world. Already, we know by 2050, if factors remain constant, and there is no war in Europe that causes the whole of Europe to burn, Islam will be the number one religion in Europe and in the world, because demographically speaking, there is exponential growth of the Muslim population in the world. And the Christian population, most of the Christians, especially in the Western world, are leaving Christianity. And then, secondly, that Western population is not growing as fast, as exponentially demographically. And so, that is what you call diversity in demography. Diversity in demography. Diversity in demography means one demographic group is growing, the other demographic group is decreasing, and they are all living in the same time span. The other demographic group is stagnant. So there are some demographic units that are stagnant, others are increasing, others are decreasing. And this is one part of the demography, the racial identity, the color identity. The and there are very many demographic groups. There's also the male and female. There are more females in the world than male, and it's growing. So, a good demographer will study where is this female growth becoming high than male growth. 80% you'll find Africa is the one helping that happen. When you go to Asia, also women. But you see, India is a country whereby when they do scanning of the womb and they find that it's a girl, they kill. Because in India, the they abort, not kill, because you cannot kill a fetus. I don't believe in anti-abortionists and pro-lifers to say that you've killed a fetus, you've killed a life. No, that person is not born. Do you know the until 9 months and the baby is out, if they killed, that is killing of a person. But a fetus is not a person, because if it was a person, then a fetus should be allowed to stay in the womb for 30 years. But can you imagine if a woman has a fetus in her, even for 1 year, they have to remove it? Why? It's grown. So it's grown, so it has to be a person. So in my view, a fetus is still part of a woman until it is born. So abortion is not killing, it's just removal of the fetus. Now, the so what I'm trying to say is, I went into abortion, so I was losing track of what I was trying to say. What happened in India is, they do what? They abort the fetus because of the fact that it's a girl. So this has affected the demography in India. If you've noticed what happens in India, there is a lot of rape. Why is there rape? There is rape because This habit of removing female fetuses has been ongoing, so the male population is high. And so what has happened is when the male population is high and the female population is small, and you have straight males who are around, the 80%, it will lead to rape cases going high. Now, very good demography will will also put and help the non-gay, male population to enjoy their lives. What does that mean? They are allowed to marry and they're allowed to have sex, or they decriminalize gay sex, because this affects it also. Where there are very many males, it means there's a very high incidence of male homosexuality. And where there are very high incidence of male homosexuality, it also means that there is a prevalence of HIV, because it's more spread with male homosexuals than female homosexuals. So these are the demographics that are now helping us to know society. So when you go to India, if there were very many women, it would be a different story. There would not be the issue we're here. Certain organizations that were basically male, and there are certain organizations that are purely female. Like every setting you are in, like if you are in a workplace like construction, it is very rare to find a female worker, a female mason worker. And when you go to the hair salon, sometimes there are hair salons where there are only female working. And so all of these, there are some units whereby, and so what does that mean? That means demography in those settings is different compared to demography in settings whereby they are mixed. So we are always looking at the effect of living in a homogeneous society and heterogeneous. So, as I've told you, that's why even me, I used to support LGBTQ people to have their own country. There is an LGBTQ island. We'd just open an island and live there. But socially it's good, but economically it may not be good, because you can be an LGBTQ businessman who is making money from straight people by selling shoes, by selling clothes. So in essence, you actually need the straight person. And the straight person also needs you who is gay, because he is selling maybe cars, and it happens to be the LGBTQ people also have money to buy cars. So he sells it to an LGBTQ person. And now, as I've told you, the problem that happens in the West is the West has come out of the closet. So that's why there's a lot of war and they have a lot of issues. In countries where people are closeted, there are less wars. The only wars you'll find are in the family. In the family setups, there will be wars like you'll find out, why is this person not marrying? Is he gay? And then you find out they're gay, and then the family will say, nah, I don't want I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't believe in that. And you just say, okay, fine. And but the state is not talking about it. And this happens in the Middle East. In the Middle East, they are gay people, and they do have laws against homosexuality. But it doesn't mean that homosexual practices are not happening. They are happening, but underground. You see, they are happening, but underground. And that is what happens in closeted countries. So there are countries that are out. Out countries are countries that have allowed gay marriage, which, as I've said in previous videos, I support 100%, because number one, it helps in healthcare of the people. When you're in a closeted country, the healthcare numbers are bad. because you don't know how people are getting disease. You don't know. But if you have a system whereby people are out and they can marry whomever they want to marry, you can collect good demographics, you can hire, you can tax people very well. That's why the West, in my view, is the best civilization, and we should follow them because they are organized and they call for transparency everywhere. They call for transparency. Of course, they are not perfect, they also have their errors, but they have tried in that part of human understanding, human diversity. And of course, where we live matters. You know, you are where you live, and sometimes if you don't watch out, the environment can affect you. It can make you closeted. Like I used to have some friends, they came out and then they said, I'm going back in. Why? Because of it's like when you come out and you're the only one who is naked. Everybody sees you're a mad person. But imagine if you come out and everybody who is outside is naked just like you. You don't feel mad. You feel, yeah, this is the norm, and this is what happens to LGBT people who come out in homophobic societies. They're actually seen as mad people. They're actually seen as outcasts. But if you come out in the West, oh my, it's like, it's normal. Everybody's like that. So it's the environment. And this is why we're not happy with what Trump is doing. He's cowardly. He's just fearing. He needs to sit down and educate nations as to why LGBTQ rights must be recognized. LGBTQ persons are people. So let's finish this topic. We were just talking about demography. And you see the power of now bringing this channel here, philosophy. I will just keep on talking about LGBTQ here. So I wanted to focus on the demography. And so the white race right now is facing the extinction, or they feel like they are being they're going extinct, which I highly doubt because with IVF, stem cell reproduction, and recently last year they created the artificial womb. So, and these days even trans women can have a womb. So basically, it's not the end of white people as they think. And I always say, if you if there was no IVF and no stem cell reproduction and no trans women having wombs, guess what? The the issue of the white race becoming small is due to the fact that their women are more independent. They think they value their bodies and they own their bodies. You see, that's why when Kennedy resigned, there was a lot of fear in America, and there still is a lot of fear that Trump was going to put somebody who was going to remove or going to kind of change the law, the Roe versus Wade, the judicial law that allows women to own their bodies and do what they want to do their bodies in terms when it comes to reproductive health care. So why was there uproar? There was uproar because the women in those countries, especially in America, are more independent minded. They don't value they don't want to have many children, and they want to have family planning. They want to plan their families. And this is what I was talking to somebody. Human beings, we are higher animals than animals. Animals also reproduce, but there's one thing they don't do that we can do, and that is planning. Animals don't plan. When they have sex, reproductive sex, they just have it. Even if it's not reproductive sex, even if it's gay sex, because animals do have gay sex. The giraffe, the bonobos, and lions, they do have gay sex. Hyenas, all of those. But whenever they have sex, they don't think about it. They don't it's there's no plan. It's just that now let's have sex. We have sex. I'm horny. Finished. It's done. So when it's finished and the fertile, the female is fertile, especially heterosexual animal sex, they will be a child and there'll be children. So this is what makes poultry farming productive. It's that these animals reproduce without thinking. Can you imagine if the chicken sat down and planned that, hey, we're having too many chicks around, we're not going to have very many chicks, so guess what, when it's time for mating, close your cloaca or cloasa. And then the hen closes the cloasa when the cock releases the sperm, and there is no chick. Why? Because the chicken now can plan. And now if that happens, the poultry farmer will not make profit because he'll have fewer chicks and fewer eggs. That is the issue of numbers and demography and animal demography. But because animals don't plan themselves, they don't plan having themselves sex and all of this, and some of them have very long, short gestation periods, they make a lot of money for us because we are taking advantage of their their unconscious reproduction. But humans are conscious, and some humans can even be unconscious and decide, you know what, I don't give a damn, let's just have sex. And they have reproductive sex, they have babies, they have day in day out. The man is poor, the woman is poor, they don't give a damn, they're just having babies, they're just having and just going on and just having, don't care about anything. And next thing you know, they have 50 children. Why? But they're doing it unconsciously. But thankfully, humans are conscious. Majority of humans are conscious, and we know that if our children, if you have too many children, you will not be able to feed them. So I need to do contraceptive. I was so happy to see a Catholic church on Twitter in Kenya. They now are urging the use of contraceptives, and it's good. You see, the Catholic Church has to accept that times change and we change with them. What is going to happen if the world is filled with females and all the Catholic fathers die and all the children that are born are females? What will happen if 80%, because now if it is 50%, 51% is female, the world population is 51%, and then males are 49, then in a few years it's going to be 55%, and then the male population is decreasing. Then it means if it is 60% female and then 40% male, the Catholic Church is going to have female priests. They'll have female priests because there are more females and they don't have jobs and they want to serve. You see, so these are the things we need to look. Thankfully, as I've said, we have stem cell reproduction, we have IVF. Now you can even calculate how many men you want in a population, and then you have an IVF program that produces the number of men you want. With stem cell reproduction, it's even greater because you can even say we want a certain group of people. Now, the problem of that is people complain about eugenics, but I don't attack reproduction in terms of eugenics. Eugenics is bad when it involves natural people, like whereby a man and a woman, they control a man and a woman and they tell them, you know, we don't want you people to have children together because you are not of the same race. You see, that was the Nazi eugenics. They wanted to keep the white race pure away from the Jewish race and the non-white people. So there was the, even if you read Nazi laws, intermarriage was, there was a law against intermarriage. It was that bad. And Nazis were that, and some part of America was also the same. The Jim Crow laws, you see, all the segregation laws. Any segregation law is to avoid mixing of the races. And in apartheid South Africa, now, that was the eugenics that was happening. And that one I don't support it. But stem cell reproduction, whereby you can make a child that has no deformities and is from the seed of somebody, like in the homosexual couples. Now homosexual couples can have children. It is official thanks to stem cell reproduction. So in that case, it's not bad because you're using somebody's stem cell to make, to bring out a child. And then now that we have solved diseases, can you imagine, Jeanette, now they've even managed to create an fetus without HIV. A fetus that is HIV resistant. We're going to post that video from TED Talks. It will be beautiful how they have managed to make a cancer resistant fetus, so that the child who is born will be able to fight cancer. The child who is born will be able to fight HIV. And so all of this has happened because of stem cell reproduction, IVF, and all of these, the genetic studies that are happening in the world. So, as I conclude, diversity in demography is part of life, and it will always be like that. In the 10,000 BC, in the 100th BC, in the 100 BC, there were some races that went extinct, and others remained, grew. I have a philosophy, not yet proven. I believe the fewer the population of a tribe or a nation or an ethnic group, the older that ethnic group, in my view. And genetically speaking, when you look at the haplogroups, these are the groups, genetic groups, the old genetic groups are, especially the first ones, are not that many. Like the Khoisan and the South Sudanese tribes, they are not that many in the world. They don't hit 10 million and Hottentots. But then when you get to from the E, which is a black gene, the E group is very big. And now the R, which is a white group, majority of whites are R. Not all whites are R. Majority of them are. And not all blacks are E. Majority of them are E. And then you find the R is the one that they're feeling is decreasing. So sometimes it doesn't mean that it can be old nations topic. Is exponentially growing, and it's even become diverse. There are more mutations happening in the black gene or the black group. The ones with the melanin is not so black. Because when I'll tell you about genetics, it's very interesting what's happening. Now we know even the ones who are very light skinned or in the middle, the brown ones, we know which gene they are. You'll find them there because the A1s, the Sudanese, but surprisingly, it's not even the melanin switches off even if you are in a different haplogroup, like A1 that has South Sudanese who are extremely black and the Khoisan who are extremely light. So it's weird that those guys are, there's the melanin difference despite being in the same haplogroup. That is the men, the Y chromosome. We're not talking about the mitochondria. Mitochondria is for the women, which all of us have, both men and female. The A1 is, all of those are men. The men having men. They are having their children. Their male kids are the ones carrying the Y chromosome. That's what we are studying. So we'll talk about that when we're talking about genetics. But what I'm trying to say is that a certain race could be old, like the black race is very old, but it's still growing, and it's growing exponentially. And I think to me, it's the one where the black people are growing the most, and they have been in the world for thousands of years. So it's going to be a black world. Then the for the whites, they may be a new race, they may be newer, but they can become extinct before the black one. It's understandable. That's what you call diversity in demography. There are animals like the dinosaurs. They disappeared. They disappeared. But thanks to stem cell reproduction, you know what? They are about to bring back dinosaurs thanks to stem cell reproduction. Why? Because you can get a stem cell from the fossil. And it's beautiful. I can't wait. I want to see a dinosaur, real, living. No more going to the museum when they exist. And so, and now the white race, they may be a new race because they came from the black race, and or they came from Europe, the Caucasus Mountains, and then they could become extinct before the black race. It's understandable. It's mathematics. And sometimes the black race can. So when you look at factors that can reduce population, one factor that reduces population is, if you see the reproduction levels are low, it's because the women don't want to carry. They don't want human beings consciously can say, no, I don't want to have a child. And you can't do anything to them. They are humans. They're not animals. An animal is the one that wants to see. What will not even, is not even worried. They know, they will just, oh, this is a kid. Okay, fine, let's take care of it. Life goes on, and the cycle keeps on and keeps on and keeps on. But humans understand. And this is why even the world population, we plan for it. Because if we don't, the systems we have are artificial. The money system, the items we use, all of these are artificial. They are not natural. So there has to be a balance between the natural systems and the artificial systems. That's why there will be chaos if there is no proper cooperation between the natural and the artificial. When you go to countries like Norway and most Scandinavian countries, they are well organized because they have known how to balance with the natural and the artificial. This is why they don't allow very many people to come to their countries, because the reason why they are balancing the demographic books, what we call the demographic books, just like in accounting, you balance the books. Now, Africa is having a demographic crisis because people are increasing faster than the number of artificial systems that are there to support them. So what's going to happen is the artificial system is going to be so limited and too small to support the big population that has risen out of the natural system. And so what's going to happen is migration is going to happen. Look at how many African immigrants come from Nigeria. They are the majority, number one. Why? Because Nigeria is overpopulated, 100 million plus. That's why you'll find Nigerians almost in any country in the world, simply because their main home country is full. It's full. And so what happens is, a population, an overpopulated unit migrates more than a underpopulated unit. Like the people, the the citizens of Seychelles, how many of them have you seen running to Europe? Very few. How many have you seen them running to America, running to Africa? Very few. Why? They are underpopulated and their needs are being met in the environment they live in. So migration is not a real concern to them. So if you are to reduce migration, you are to create systems that can deal with the population that is present. Then you will reduce migration. That's why for Europe to reduce African migration to Europe, they are supposed to help Africa build the same systems they have built. Alternatively, they are to allow Africans to go and live there because their population is becoming small and Africans are becoming big and strength to migrate. And the European population that's there is growing old, so they need workers. Even if they are doing AI, robotics to do the job, there are some jobs robots can't do. It's only humans who can do it. You see, it's very weird. Actually, I can talk about demographics the whole day. So basically, I just wanted to say there is diversity in demography. So right now, every unit, demographic unit, goes through either increase or decrease or stagnation. So today we focus on units. There is the gender unit, whereby you have males and females and intersex and other sexual identities. Those ones we will do later on. But today we were focusing on the racial one, and we just wanted to conclude and say no, whites are not really becoming extinct. But they are the least, and therefore the risk of them disappearing is high. And it's and what I want to say, even if it happens, it is part of nature. That is nature. That is the biological system. And it is also the proof that artificial, that maybe the race did not practice the artificial, they did not do the balancing of the artificial and the natural, but I think they did it very well. It's just that the other races did not try to, they do not know how to balance the natural and artificial. Like I said, in Africa, it's a demographic disaster because majority of people have no jobs, majority of people are young, majority of these people, if they go to hospital, they can't pay the bills, so the hospital is hanging on a bad budget, everything is down because of that balance. They fail to balance the demographic books. Now for the whites, they balanced well, but too much that it became so artificial that now naturally they are having an issue to fill up their system with people. So that is diversity in demography. This is just part one. We can talk about demographics forever. It's one of my best subjects. And next time we'll talk about genetics. That's even my better subject. So River of Thought, Lava of Fikir is now a playlist in Rex Arthur. So you are welcome.